The difference between us is that I can feel pain.
Sounds like a real boogeyman once you find he's coming for you.
Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy.
There's someone else in the hotel with us. There's a crazy woman in one of the rooms.
It's got a death curse.
This isn't science. It's more like black magic.
Your specimen has been processed, and we are now ready to begin the test proper.
All right, we're good to go. Welcome to Pumpkinhillradio. I'm your host, Travis Wyrwood. Got my co-host here, Dawson Trailer, as always.
Hello.
We are not alone, however. We got another interview this evening. What time is it? I'm a little bit lost.
It's like afternoon.
I have David and Priscilla. They are self-proclaimed, and I think, the writing's on the wall. They got stuff everywhere. They are musicians, authors, self-proclaimed cryptid experts, I'll say. We'll put that to the test today. See what you know. We can go from there. Before we begin, anything you want to say besides yourself? So you can do a little plug in the beginning if you'd like to.
Sure. And for the cryptid thing, if there's a quiz portion of this, that's fine. I think so. I have the coloring book. This is the coloring book.
Yes, perfect. Made. Beautiful.
Well, and I think.
No one can see it.
No, wait. Since we're taking video, I can cut this up and post it online.
Okay. But I think maybe we shouldn't give everything away just in the first second.
No, just show a little. Yeah, you can just show.
No, I was just saying that if you gave us a quiz and then I got lost, there are nice descriptions.
Oh, yeah.
You got the logs here for sure.
Nice. I can pull this out and read what these things are.
I think most cryptid tests are open book.
Yeah.
So,
open. Yeah.
You want to be able to.
Yeah, very open book.
If you know everything off the top of the head.
Well, part of the quiz is doing the research to figure out what the hell any of this is.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
So we just put out a coloring book. It's called A Beginner's Guide to Coloring Cryptids. It is very stupid. It has word finds, trading cards, descriptions of all the cryptids, which I painstakingly did from memory of things I'd heard on the internet and just went down the list.
Yeah.
I especially liked I don't know if it's labeled as the Wendigo in the book specifically. There's one that really was triggering me. It was giving me really good vibes. There's a certain there's a certain quality to the art that I do like. It's a good
It's like the lack of quality.
It's like presumed you'd know how to do a lot better based on how it just looks right there. So y'all also have a band, Maudlin. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Maudlin. We are an indie rock garage band from Minneapolis, and we occasionally write songs about creepy, weird things that go bump in the night.
Did you occasionally? No, we actually write. Unfortunately, almost all of our songs, no matter what the subject matter, ends up having something creepy in it, and we're like, damn it, we did it again.
I actually took the time to listen to a bunch of your stuff. I liked it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just a little plug from me. Dig it. I listened to, I wrote down a few songs just that I liked in particular. There was one that caught my eye. We were doing this whole, we're still kind of in the middle of this Greek gods. Little story time.
Research kind of.
So when I heard this stuff about Tartarus, it just tickled me. It was it's just every time anything that we're doing these days, I'm I'm finding something Greek about it. I'm like, hell yes.
It all comes together eventually.
I haven't done a Zeus song, but he was a mad slut, so I really should.
Mad slut.
He there's a lot of interesting content there with what that guy was doing.
There's enough. Yeah, there's enough lore between it all. I mean, I don't know. We could dissect it all day. The birth of Athena, her splitting Zeus's skull, and she comes out wearing full. Her mother Metis lives inside Zeus's mind as a fly, and she's in there smelting Zeus's bones and blood into the armor that Athena wears. Yeah. There's something there, right? Does that sound
women
pretty
will be women, right?
It's a little bit RFK's brain worm, isn't it?
Yeah. Like
it's the same. If it
he
comes,
might have a goddess just burst out of his skull one day.
Yeah.
God save us.
And a worm is like piecing together parts of his body to make clothes and armor.
I'm honestly also made of worms. I'm also just a worm king right now.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm a ball of about 150,000 worms.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And honestly, at this point, I'm not surprised by anything anymore.
Yeah.
So
it's been a couple of years. You could get away with a lot without surprising people these days.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So, touring life.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not doing like city to city to city to city, but like you go to places.
Yeah.
How's that?
We tour less now than we used to. We have what is it called? Children.
yes,
And yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we have
those are new.
yeah, our youngest are twin 4-year-olds. And
Oh wow!
yeah, so they
Congratulations. That's a
and then we have an 11-year-old who thinks she's a goth. Which is fun.
Nice.
And who's also into Greek
Damn.
mythology.
She is into Greek
Oh,
mythology.
cool.
But back when you were 11, you didn't think you were a goth. You knew you were a goth.
Oh, no.
Recall that?
He was a punk.
It's like
Yeah, I would.
okay,
Oh,
for
there you
sure.
go.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
I can
Okay.
see it. I can see it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, she knows. It's funny because all the stuff from when we were in high school is like now a thing again, and
Mhm.
she'll just like come out of a room wearing stuff that looks like, Kurt Cobain in 1995, and I'm like, what are you doing? Where did you find this stuff?
Well, but that's when we weren't in high school in 1995. That was middle school. We're not that
Right,
old.
not that old, but
You don't have to reveal your ages. We're all immortal here. We're like a couple
Right.
wizards.
But touring though.
how old do we look? That's how old we are.
Yeah, like early 20s.
Okay, cool.
Exactly.
Because we've been drinking the blood of
Yeah.
virgins for like a good decade now, and like
That'll-
Really helps.
yes.
If you haven't tried that, it's
Have you tried the blood of the extremely old? The exact opposite.
yeah.
do you know what?
Everybody's
we have a buddy-
everybody's
not-
talking about this.
Yeah,
A
Yeah.
little brinier, but
it's like thicker. The mouth
Yeah.
is good, Like
Yeah.
it had like a tooth
That's
to it.
that's what I'm on. I'm rapidly aging to 90. Cool. I saw on your. Did you go to No Name Bar in Winona?
Yeah.
Sorry to call it. I don't know if this is
Yeah.
going to become just automatically a local podcast. We're from originally, like that tri-state area. That like
yeah.
We're originally
that
from
little pocket.
Wait.
Yeah, we're from Winona originally.
Yeah, we're from La Crosse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the cat, Plato's Donuts, is in Winona. Do you
Yeah.
know
Oh, yeah.
Plato's
Yeah.
in there?
Okay.
Yeah.
We named him Plato.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Love it.
I knew this information beforehand. I just wanted to drop it on you because I'm sure we could connect on anything
And like
there. But
all of our youth growing up, because like we grew up together, went to high school together, we're in a band in high school together, then we like moved to the Twin Cities together, we got married together, not to other people, but anyway, so but like all of our youth was spent like running around in those creepy hills.
Yeah, Winona's.
Oh yeah.
And in that
Creepy as
creepy
fuck.
graveyard, I've seen some
Oh yeah.
stuff.
yeah, it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
weird. The Midwest is an insanely
That,
scary.
that like
place.
Mississippi Valley there's like vibes there. There's
Yeah,
something.
there is.
So
Yeah.
many weird.
And
And it goes all. I feel like it goes all the way down to like New Orleans and stuff too. Like it's a really like similar like.
And
I don't know.
actually, the vibe, because in
It's-
La Crosse specifically, where we grew up, it was originally in the 1800s. It was made by the French fur traders trading with the Native American population,
Like
and
the
so it is.
paddle boats,
It's all
the
that
steamboats
same.
and all that stuff. There's
Yeah.
something about it.
It's like when people say the word like
Very
liminal
ghostly.
and like this weird this ghostly space, I immediately think of that area. That like
Oh,
those North Woods are so
Mhm.
old.
Yep, and the
Like, yeah.
That-
lumps are creepy.
They're super
The-
creepy, and I don't know. I mean, we didn't spend a lot of time tooling around La Crosse, but he spent some time like in Trumplo growing up, and
Mhm.
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
some really messed
Yeah,
up
same
stuff.
thing.
Oh
in the
yeah,
sky.
that's.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a UFO when I was should I tell a paranormal story? Is that like
Let's go for
is
it.
that
As
like
many as you have.
with the
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got some too. Let's go.
yeah, okay, so this is my I think it was the only time I saw a UFO, but this is weird because I was
Mhm.
maybe a freshman in high school, and my buddy lived in a trailer park kind of on the outskirts of Trempealeau, Wisconsin, so already this is middle of nowhere. And we
Yeah,
were
yeah.
up really late. It was like 2 a.m, and we're biking around on these back roads.
As 11-year-olds do.
Yeah, I was 11. We were like,
Hey.
I was freshmen.
Oh, freshman, sorry.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
14, 15,
Whatever.
I don't know. It still probably should
Yeah,
out
yeah.
on a bike in the middle of nowhere at
Yeah.
2
Where else are you gonna be though?
Everybody wanted
where
their
you get
kids to
lost.
die back then. That was the
We were all doing that. Yeah.
It was like,
Oh,
could
yeah.
you go to a remote area where no one could hear you?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like an
Let's go hang out in
abandoned
the woods alone.
Yeah.
together.
Is there an abandoned construction site you could go mess around? with?
Exactly. Like
Hang out on a
twice,
bridge somewhere.
twice I stepped on nails in in those abandoned construction sites. But
Oh yeah.
so there we are, middle of nowhere on our bikes, and there's all these planes in the air, and there's not a commercial airport anywhere near there. You know,
Yeah,
there's like a tiny one, but they're not running planes in the middle.
not like that. Not like the lacrosse.
Not
airport,
at night-
which would
not
be
at
the
night like that
closest
either,
one,
Yeah. So I counted 15 planes. And
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah,
that is
yeah.
like messed up.
We live by the airport kind of in St. Paul, and we don't even see that many planes.
Yeah,
in the
that's
sky.
like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
way too many planes.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching all the planes, and then like right kind of in the middle of them, like this dot just kind of appears, and it sits there for a second, and then it zigs gone. And it
Oh
maybe
yeah.
lasted
Ooh.
like 2 or 3 seconds. And
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was,
That spooky pattern. I'm sure you've
Yeah.
seen some of the new footage of like the UAPs and USOs and
Just doing that. Did it kind of look like something you'd see in like a video game or like CGI almost? Like it didn't even make sense the way it like moved.
it didn't make sense the way it moved as far as like what it looked like. It was
Yeah.
it appeared to be as high up as the planes, and it
Mm-hmm.
was just like a little ball of light basically.
Interesting.
Oh, Google Blitz.
Yeah. We got
Ball
those.
lightning.
Ball lightning. Those.
so-
Who knows?
So what do you think that was? Elaborate. What do you think that was? Like, what is that?
Well, there's a
What
military
have you thought
right there.
beyond
Yeah,
that?
there so the thing that, and it's funny because this is pre-internet. So
No, wait, no, it was not pre-internet.
But it's not internet. Like
Yeah.
we're
No,
mainstream
now.
internet.
yeah, it was like, you know, yeah, sure, maybe Al Gore was good at it, but
Yeah.
so there wasn't like a way to like, hey, what happened last night in Jumble?
yeah. There wasn't like 4 websites everybody's
Yeah.
going
Yeah,
on to.
like,
Yeah,
I
I think at that
it's a-
time, like, not even every household really. It wasn't like most common to have like a computer.
and if your
or
sister's
anything.
on the phone, you're not even getting on AOL.
Yeah, I don't think I had
Exactly.
like a household
You're
computer
waiting.
until like 2002 or 3. You know?
Yeah.
So the research I was able to come up with was that there is a military place with an airfield that within like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes of there. And so I presumed it had to be military planes either investigating something or doing something that resulted in that. But
Yeah.
it was or it could have been that coming to check out what all the dot could also have been like, the fuck are you guys all doing up here?
Maybe that
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was like a freshman out at 2 a.m. in just the middle of nowhere, just hanging out and just being like,
Like
what's up with all these planes?
like a freshman.
It's-
That was like-
saying.
yeah, I don't know. I don't have that
Interesting.
silver bullet for that, except for it is definitely too much of a coincidence that the plane was
Yeah.
there and the thing was there.
Yeah.
There's like something they have to almost be related at that point.
I just always like to dig in a little bit because so many people have these experiences, and it's almost like foggy to try to dig in. Like depending on, like, it's almost, and I don't want to say it's like some sort of like something they're putting out, like whatever that thing you saw is, but so many times with abduction or sightings, there is this lack of like, you get like fatigued in your mind, like you get this lack of urgency. Like you literally, like you see a monster at the foot of your bed, and you're like, I guess I'm gonna fall back to sleep now. Like it's this thing. Then it's
that.
What do you got, Priscilla? You look startled.
See the video. It's good to have the video.
Oh, guys.
You get to see her weird faces, and yeah, she gives it all away.
Well,
No, you can keep
Unless
talking,
you-
but I do have something really, really.
No,
well, that UFO story just kind of reminded me of like, because I've seen something similar to that. It was because it was in La Crosse, like during Oktoberfest.
Okay.
And I was with my girlfriend at the time. We were like having a little fire in her backyard, kind of staying away from all that festivities. Like we were just like hanging out. and we were kind of like watching like the other side of town from where Oktoberfest was happening, and like right above the tree line, it was like 6, 7 like little lights, and they were like swirling around each other like in this like spiral pattern, and they were just like going above the treetop, and then they like stopped and then like spiraled straight up and then just disappeared straight up in the sky. And I was like, whoa, like what was that? And we're like, oh, I don't know. And then like to relate it to like what Travis was saying with like that like fatigue of like you don't even like know, you don't like think of it as like what, like you're just so like blown away. You're like, what was that? And I'm like, we're sitting out there for a bit, and then we're like, that was crazy, like whatever that was. And then she mentioned, she was like, what was in those? Like were there like pilots in that, or like what was that? Like is that like a person? And then we like got like freaked out, and we had to like go inside. We like put the fire out. We're like, let's go inside and like try to like not think about that too much, because we got like this like ominous like, are they like, did they notice us? Like who know? Like I don't know.
100%.
Yeah, no, exactly, because we had a fire in like this like dark little part of town. Like I don't know. It was like such a strange thing. And then like every time I tell someone, I'm like, everyone tells me they're like, oh, it was like a drone. I'm like, no, but like the way it moved, it looked like a cartoon almost. Like it didn't make sense like physically why anything would be moving like that in that direction, like with these like blue looking lights. It was so weird. It was so strange, and I've never seen anything like it since. So, but it just reminded me of that, where it was just like, that's why I asked like if it just like looked like a cartoon or like a CGI or something, because like that's how I describe them. Like it looked fake.
When did
but
this
it was like
happen?
I could see it. This was maybe like 2017.
Oh yeah, that's
2016,
way
maybe,
before
2018.
drone stuff was.
No, yeah, like it's not like what even the stuff I've seen today too. It's like even like the like drone shows. I'm like, that's a different thing still, because it just like the way it like shot up straight and just like disappeared into like the stars. It was bizarre. I like don't. It's so hard. It's hard to even like explain. It was so like weird. It was just strange. I don't know, like.
That spooky movement.
Yeah, you're like, okay, that doesn't make sense.
Unsettling. You're not supposed to see it. It's like, that's why
you're like in shock almost for a second. You're like, okay, what was that though?
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
And
like what?
That part where your brain goes logical, but not like it just goes like into matter of fact, sort of. You know, like you think you're gonna freak out. You think you're gonna cry. Scream.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean. So I'll say this too, like all those people that say they've had good abduction experiences and like whatever it is here to enlighten us and bring peace. Yeah, I don't buy that shit. I don't buy that for a second. Like
something deceptive about it.
Yeah, there's there's way too many bad experiences that are like beyond kind of bad to like
nightmares.
Yeah, like, nightmare stuff, and then just there's a common sense element too about somebody that's always hiding and secretly ripping up cows.
Yeah,
we rip up cows too, but we have the decency to do it
pretty
in like a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday in a warehouse, and they're all covertly ripping up cows. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
nope.
And like controlling your mind and paralyzing you. And like there's like a power dynamic that's off.
Yeah.
It's like,
if you're gonna control my mind, at least let me be in your cult. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah. It's like let me like know everything that's going on at least. Yeah. Like explain it to me. Like
let me drive.
Let's get into it. I might be into it. Yeah.
But
just ask for my consent, I guess.
I'm anti UAP pilot, I guess. Is that how you'd say that?
Yeah.
I'm racist against non-humans.
Yeah. All right.
Is that like
I'm into that. I'm into that.
I used to say I was only racist against Ferengis.
Yeah.
From Star Trek. Yeah, obviously.
Which kind of makes
But then I even realized that was even wrong.
Once you get through Deep Space Nine, you're like,
it's like, oh, they're not so bad. But the Greys, fuck them.
Yeah. What do you okay, that's always around Wisconsin. I guess it's bringing to my attention, I've read stuff about it before, but I think you had even showed up on like Ancient Aliens. There is a base up there, and okay, do you recall like Scogan's, like the local grocery chain Scogan's up there?
It's
so there was so there there was a mailbox outside the Skogans in the 90s that someone dropped. It was like a letter. There was like, it was just a weird, like, government. I don't know. I don't have anything pulled up in front of me to like say anything more about it, but it's like a very, like, I'll try to send some links to you later on, but, or even just to put in the show link so that people can dig into it. But there's some fishy stuff happening like right there, like right in that neighborhood. Like it is bizarre.
Just hidden in plain
Made
sight.
it to like national TV. Like not that Ancient Aliens covers everything, but it is silly to like. That was one of the earlier seasons, so it's a little less insane. But
yeah,
just as far as that goes,
it's legit a weird.
It's like a real story. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you got?
So I really, truly, okay. All right, I gotta tell you my story. I gotta just dive in and say it because otherwise I'm gonna forget.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of related to this. Maybe you guys can help. Maybe you can't. Every single chance I have to tell this story to a lot of people, I tell it because I need help. And this is kind of what got me into cryptids. And it happened in Winona. And it might be alien related. It might be cryptid related. It might be ghost related. It might be anything related. It might not be. Who the hell knows? It has shaken me to my core. I will never. I was raised by an atheist science dad. He's like, you die, there's blackness. And I'm like, okay, you know, so I was raised in this very like a lot thinking household, right? Like there was no such thing as anything supernatural in any way, shape, or form.
Everything's explainable.
Everything's explainable, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this was in 2006. We were in the bluffs above Woodlawn Cemetery in Winona. And you enter from the top of the bluff. There is this neighborhood up on the very, very top of the bluff where there is a cul-de-sac that ends at the end of, I don't remember what street it is.
Conrad?
Might be Conrad. Anyways, one of our best friends lived up there. And we would always start, there's two like trailheads that exist. One goes off to the right, one goes off to the left.
One of them connects to Sugarloaf, I think.
I don't know. But
if anybody knows what Sugarloaf is.
I know Sugarloaf. I know Sugarloaf.
Okay. So the trail.
There's some locals listening.
Yeah,
There's people in the area that do listen.
That's why I'm bringing this up, because if any locals are listening to this, like I need to know if anyone else has experienced this before, because anyways.
There's a big buildup.
It is a big
That's great.
What she says sucks. You guys are gonna be so mad.
I know.
I hate to draw it on even longer, but whenever anybody says a story like this, it's an emotional and exhausting thing to think about. Am I right? Like when you have an experience like that, it's like it takes a while to be like whenever I say an actual, I'm not even probably going to bring up a personal paranormal experience this episode because it just drains me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I recorded one from a different podcast yesterday, and I'm like,
you almost have to like re-experience it in a sense to like retell it.
But please go on.
Okay, sorry, I'll try and be more concise.
No.
So the one thing different about this night is that there was like no moon, and normally when we went hiking up there in the middle of the night, we'd normally go when there's a moon because you can walk around, especially if there's a full moon, you can see where you're going. And so we took the trail that goes to the right, and that trail ends after about a mile of walking, looking over the very, very top of the back of western edge of Woodlawn Cemetery. And there is a fire pit type of area there where everybody makes fires, and it's just a thing we've been doing.
There's a little cliff and like kind of
you can see the entire city
kind of area.
And so,
not official, just
right. It's just something, and we've been going out to that spot since. I mean, I've been literally going to that spot since I was like 11 years old by myself.
Yeah.
And so at this point, it's 2006. We have like about 5 or 6 of us, and we've hiked out there, and we're deciding that we're going to make a fire. So we all grab our cell phones because there's no moonlight, and we start using our flashlights on our cell phones and just like looking around for sticks. And I am about 15 feet away from the fire area, and I'm in the brush, and it's brush that's about, I don't know, waist high. And I'm on my hands and knees, and I'm kind of like looking for little tiny things. And I'm in about 1.5 feet into the brush. And in front of me, with my phone light up, I see what looks like a floating ostrich egg. And it's floating like this. And it's right at, like, I'm like this. I'm right at eye level. And it's a little bit smaller than my head, right? I'm like shaking.
So what's the color?
It was like a creamy white.
Like an egg color. Yeah.
And it literally looked like an ostrich egg, and it's sitting here floating. And then it just, without any sound, without any movement, it turns, and it's a face. It's a floating head, and its eyes are completely black. It has wrinkles and just this like mouth that wasn't really open. It was kind of like a grimace. And it looked at me, and I immediately had this like, and I hate to say that it was, but this like thought in my brain, where it was almost like, it was like almost like a communication sort of thing. And again, it's gonna make me sound nuts, but it almost, it had this like, this thought in my brain was, you piece of shit. And then it was like, you call me, you're not supposed to see me, you piece of shit. And I was just like, oh my God. And I just sat there, and then so it's sitting there looking at me, and then it turns, and again, without any movement, wind or anything, and it goes,
whoa,
and it
okay,
flew. And it was just, and I was just like, oh my God. And so I just backed out of the brush, and I am like a loud, funny, weird, hysterical, strange person. Like
she's not that funny.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, like, I'm a very like actively.
Kind of out of your head.
Well, no. Like I'm just like I'm a very extroverted person. Is what
extroverted.
Very extroverted, and especially with like my close friends. I mean, these are like some of my best friends, and so I back out of the brush. And I'm just like so stunned, and I just like walk over to the fire pit, and I just like sit down, and I don't have any sticks, and I just sit there, and I don't say anything, and I just like I just look around. I didn't say anything to anyone else about it for the rest of the night.
Yeah, she didn't bring.
Yeah,
I was there.
I sat there for the rest of the night. I just
being a.
Well, how do you even like bring that up? Be like, hey, I just saw something. Everyone's gonna like explain it away, or like tell you, you're nuts or something.
And also, I was like in my brain, I was like, well, it's gone.
Yeah.
And so I just sat there for the rest of the night as if everything was fine. And the next morning, I lost it. Like I just had a panic.
Yeah,
it's also one dude.
So
we just talked about something weird as hell last week that and it's kind of the same way.
So I have scoured the internet. I have looked at everything. I have spent the last 10 years, 13 years trying to figure out what this thing was. I have looked at every bit of folklore, like everything. I cannot find it. So
that's before I offer any like of my ideas, what have you thought of it being? Like, what is the thing that you thought before I like shoot something into your brain about this?
Well, it was evil.
Yeah,
that's all I know. It was 100% evil. It was
okay. And earlier, David, you were saying you think that there's a malevolent presence in like the whatever you saw, perhaps like that was, or at least there's
I do.
Is there any now those are obviously different experiences. Do you think that malevolence could be the same anyway? Just spitballing, just trying to tie. I look at things and I'm immediately tying everything together.
Yeah.
It's horrible for research because my tabs and my computer are like.
I mean, I definitely broadly think that there are unseen forces that are malevolent, and I don't know that. I think a lot of things like that when you're talking about cryptids or aliens or mutant ostrich eggs, they may fall into a realm where in our physical bodies we are not able to perceive them or understand them, or our minds have to piece together something that because we're just getting information that doesn't make any sense.
I call it the Elder Scroll theory. It's like you ever play the Elder Scroll games? If you look at basically it's a forbidden knowledge. It's a tablet of forbidden knowledge. In the games, when you look at it, the screen gets all blurry and you lose your mind. I think time travel and shit. Yeah. But it's basically and it's a lot of things like that. I mean, we've been talking about lately, like you can't stare directly at like a black hole or a wormhole, or the idea of a Stargate. Those wouldn't. The shape of that, it's not a perfect circle, it's not a perfect 2D shape. Those would be almost like those like 5D like funneling shapes you can see diagrams of. You're not supposed to witness some of those things. So I think first off, I generally say that like if you see something strange, it's something maybe either from a different place or a different reality or a different dimension, and it's your brain trying to make any sense
like,
of it.
What do I know from my own culture that like is gonna make sense? Almost?
Like before I just go like full like wooey woo like 10 planes of existence shit. Like I probably like that's a very old place. Like I was saying, the Northwoods there, it's an old place, an old untouched place with history that wasn't always written down.
That Driftless region is like.
It's truly ancient. I mean, like, yeah, the Ice Age didn't even affect it in the same way as the like that's an ancient. The land there was touched by things so old. And I think that before I even say I think that it could be an ancient spirit, an ancient native spirit, like something like a djinn. I mean, it doesn't have to come from just like Sanskrit lore. These ancient,
especially the thick like native culture through that area too.
That's what I'm saying. So it has flavors of that. Ancient.
That's what my
spirits.
mind went to is like some sort of like native like spirit or like
I'd say like as far as weird like
demon or something.
Like another weird, not explainable like horrifying thing that I have read that is a completely different thing, but just to put you at ease of like what you saw like being insane. Like there was a guy on a boat that reported seeing a Bigfoot on the top of a balloon floating in the sky, and floating at the bottom was a dog hanging like by its neck dead. And that was like something that is like, that was an actual report. There was some amount of like, there was some like hair or some physical evidence, just to tell you what I like read into. Like I read into like I try to find very high strange reports. So what you're saying is actually pretty medium. Like it's good. Like you're good. That seems real.
I was gonna say, I feel bad for that's a dude that's
that guy. That guy's never gonna recover.
How do you explain that? How do you explain that? People are
recover.
Like, that's the silliest thing I can
maybe
hear.
During that. Yeah.
That's the silliest.
But like
wait to go look that up and then add it to our next
Well, even I hate to plug our own show, but just this next Tuesday coming up, whatever the next show that's coming up, we did a whole thing that was on this alien called Also One, and it's this insane report, and it does end where like you said, like he comes back from it and it takes him a day to get into like he's like, oh my god, like that's when the reports start coming out.
He's just in shock. He like didn't even like remember his like own.
There's a whole world of paranormal stories that like just don't get reported. Like yours, like you can't look that up because nobody has posted that on the internet. Even if somebody else has seen that, like you haven't posted that on the internet. Maybe you have. Maybe you have. So you're so good. Like
I've never heard anything like that.
That's what I mean. Like now somebody else can maybe read that, but that takes like this isn't like a Loch Ness monster 1500s thing. This is a newer type of thing you're seeing that you're not going to be able to look up. You know, like the dude that posted the weird Bigfoot fucking hot air balloon thing, like that's something like that guy that's probably looked at like he's now a lunatic, I'm sure, looking back online. But it's like
he is now.
But I'm out here like, hey, I'll hold that with a grain of salt, like everything else. Like
So one thing,
just as far as me,
one thing that I did notice that started happening right around age 16 for me was that I started having memories come back of things that had happened to me, paranormal things that had happened to me as a child. And they were things that I had brought up to my parents and they had completely dismissed. And like, and so starting at 16, I start like remembering all of these paranormal things. And they were things that like my grandpa had experienced as well. And he dismissed that because he was an alcoholic. And
probably like something stimulated that. It's like
it's like what knocked him into that.
Exactly. And it was always like in this very specific place when I would have these paranormal experiences, like all the time. And then I remember one time when I was really, really little, I saw something watching me from outside my window. And then and I told my parents, and then when I finally saw this thing in the woods, it cemented in my brain that those weren't just fake.
It brings them back almost.
That thing outside your window was that.
This is like a thing that's been happening.
I thought
like, this is like a thing.
Yeah.
One time it was me, but
I
knocked. I knocked. I didn't just like stare.
And I answered the door and I said Seth, which was his best friend's name, and he goes, "No, it's David." And I was like, "Oh,
true story." Yeah,
that's how we started dating.
I love it, and you're still here.
Yeah,
look at that.
But no, that thing outside my window, I thought I told my dad it was the Grinch. I was so little.
Yeah, because that's just you making your. Well,
my little sister had a story. It was like a dream, she said, but it was like she's like, yeah, Santa Claus came, but he didn't look the same. He was like all black and he had red eyes.
It's the worst.
And I was like, huh. And it was like in like July. I'm like, why? What? That wasn't Santa.
Yeah. That is not the Christmas in July anyone hopes for.
Yeah, I was like, that's terrifying. It scared me as a kid. I was like, what?
Well, I guess with just I don't know how far we want to get into like sometimes we've been kind of digging into these like hairy monsters like Sasquatch or whatever this Grinch thing. Yeah. Maybe you're perceiving them as that because again, you're not seeing the real thing. Maybe it's more of like a staticky. Maybe it's more of like a plasmic. I don't know. I can't throw this insane shit at you, but like
a bunch of different ideas what it could be.
Do you think that something like that might be like ultra dimensional, like on a different plane that's just like dipping down?
Absolutely, 100%. I am so incredibly there with you on that.
Yeah, Bigfoot is not a monkey in the woods, because like if he was, then we would have found him. And there's other people that are like trying to hunt Sasquatch as though it's like an animal, and it's not an animal.
That's why it's like so hard to trace and like track down and like see, because that's like my theory why like you can't ever get like a clear image of it, like a picture or video. Like it's always blurry or like staticky or like out of focus, because like it's not really it's here, but it's bending through, like
it's like transposed on over top.
And that's why you like almost never find like hard evidence or anything, because they like move through another dimension. And that's why like if they like if there's like a whole culture of them, like they like die, they like get like.
Have you heard of like Eighth Tower theory stuff? That's with that's the guy that actually wrote the Mothman prophecies back in the 20s. He actually was the one that came up with the term Men. Yeah, he came up with Men in Black, like that term. So I don't know. Do you know? Basically, it's just simplified. It's that like they are something coming from somewhere else, but it takes our mind to complete that connection. Like it's you need that like psychic link somehow. You feel about that? You think that like head floating there would have still been there if you weren't there to see it?
Well, okay. So here's the other thing. I don't know. So I also found out recently, the last year or so, that I'm autistic, but I also have synesthesia, and I don't know if you know what synesthesia is.
Explain for the viewers.
Okay, I have different kinds of synesthesia. They're not incredibly strong like some people have. But it is something that a lot of neurodivergent people have. So first off, I'm dyslexic. I have dysgraphia, dyscalculia, ADHD.
Is it like tasting colors?
Kind of. For some, that is the rarest one. So for me, I smell things that aren't there, but it's attached to emotions, names, memories, people. But it's not just like, oh yeah, I remember the smell of the state fair. It's not like that. Like it's like if I think of a certain, like there's a certain emotion that will have like a smell attached to it, right? But I also see like letters and numbers. If I close my eyes, like there's a color associated with each one. And if I think about like a certain kind of document, like that'll be blue, or that document in my brain will be whatever. And I have a very, very visual memory. It's not like photographic, like some savants have these like photographic memories, but my memory is so strong visually that I can like walk in my brain like a video game, walk through parts of my life from when I was a tiny little child. And it's
can you close your eyes and see that freaky fucking head?
Absolutely. Literally right now, I could reach out and I could turn it and manipulate it. I could move the.
Yeah, I'm like trying to. I mean, as you were saying it, I was like kind of crying. I get like weird emotional when people say that shit too. I don't like. I don't like hearing about it. I just need to hear.
Right.
About
it. Yeah. So and knowing now that like my brain is so different, I'm like, oh, I think, and I know that I pick up on things that other people don't pick up on. And again, it wasn't until recently that I allowed myself to believe those things. You know what I mean? Because when you're constantly fighting it,
it's a hurdle.
Out of a need for logic and science and stuff like that, it's like, oh geez. But then when you realize that science could actually apply to it, and you realize that like I take in 40% more information than a normal brain, like all the time. Anybody who's all the time is taking in more information. And like
Dawson.
Oh, what?
You want to talk about your your little camera lens?
Yeah.
So this is what Dawson likes to bring up.
So the way I like, I don't know, I've like heard it described like this before, so this is just how I go off of it, but it's like, so like consciousness and like how like your awareness, you're like your consciousness is like it's like an aperture in like a camera, So like the wider it is, the more like light it takes in, the more information data it collects. So like that mean I feel like you have like a really wide aperture then, so you can like take in more things that most people would just walk by and not even see or like notice, or like things give off more than just like.
And that's
the
kind
one
of
thing,
the Elder Scroll effect, where you would see it something so wild that it would open the aperture so wide that you realize you're actually something holding the camera behind the thing, like just in, like that's like just like that sort of.
Well, and that's why people who are neurodivergent get stimulated, and that's why some people go nonverbal or have apraxia, and like they lose
put like headphones on.
Right, they lose their ability to communicate in certain ways because they have just such a flood of information coming in at all times that it's
keyed in, so much data. And that's just stuff that we can figure out on like this plane. Like if there's like other levels of existence, like think about the bombardment.
With that, exactly.
So we have a lot of like neurotransmitters that exist in our brain, right? And we also have neural pathways that are created. So children, you say you're born with all your neurotransmitters like active and everything like that. Little tiny babies. Children have all of those little things firing, right? What do people always say about children and like the paranormal or weird experiences? Like they always say that they're more susceptible to that, right? So as we get older, we lose approximately 80% of all of those little connections, right? But people who are neurodivergent, specifically people who are autistic, don't lose those. Or if they do, they lose only 20%. Right, so they're operating at a much higher capacity. So, even though I technically have like learning disabilities or learning differences when it comes to like letters and numbers and stuff like that, like my ability in other areas is like really, 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 really high. And so I think that connection to just like paranormal experiences,
that the other
or like different like just like different dimensions or just any of that kind of stuff is really interesting. And like the fact that like for me, whenever there's and again this started right around middle school, whenever there would be like a threatening male around me, I would smell a certain smell, and then that person always ended up being a dangerous person, and I would smell that smell first, then this person would come by me, and then later on I would find out they were dangerous.
It's like a sixth sense.
We
talked about it a couple. But
it was
anesthesia. Like babies too. Like I don't know how many babies you guys have, but we have lots of babies. And and when they're really little, one of the things about all their stuff firing is they can't talk, obviously, and they can't understand language when they're really little, but they can sense things and they can understand intentions of people and things like that in an almost kind of telepathic kind of way.
It's like baked in somehow.
If you stare, like make eye contact with babies and they just like give you that stare, I feel like there's some sort of communication going on of like
they're perceiving things, and then Priscilla said those things shut down. Like after they start to transition into verbal things, they lose the ability to intuitively look at people and understand what's going on. But when they're very little, like that's why you can do a lot of fun experiments, especially if you have twins, because then you can have a control group. But you can you can kind of see like the different levels that they can understand things when they shouldn't be able to understand them, and then how that transitions into like
they start like learning like words and more concepts, and like it takes away that like almost like, I don't want to say spiritual necessarily, but it takes away that from that like that, or I don't know, you're like when you're that young, you're still so close to the goddamn aether. Like you're so close to like the fucking, like you're still fucking fresh out of wherever that is. So I feel like you definitely have that.
You're like looking back, being like
exactly like
where was I just a second ago?
It's like you're still holding that, like whether you whatever. But I hold all beliefs as real in my mind. That's how I get to sleep basically. But like that's how I get to form all the fun ideas.
You gotta be open to all the possibilities. It's all cool.
Damn. I mean, fuck. So, that was already almost an hour. Not to.
So babies for president.
No, that was perfect. I have what happens is I just write a bunch of random crap, and if we don't get to any of it, that's for the best. That means we had a good conversation. Damn, we already covered some of this. Have you all heard about I guess just keeping it to the Midwest region and like the spookiness there. I did a little bit of. I've done research on stuff before, and then I kind of went back to it. Have you heard of something called the underwater panther?
What?
Sometimes called the Great Lynx.
No, this sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So
this
our autistic 4.5-year-old twin is super hardcore into cryptids, and she is obsessed with cats. So thank you for telling me this.
Yeah, you're gonna love this.
When the coloring book came out, because she's like, Dad, there are so many cryptids in here you didn't tell me about, and I'm like,
okay, but now we need to learn.
Let's talk about
no, that's awesome. And maybe for your second book, you can add this one to it. So this is Native American myth, specifically Ojibwe and some like Sioux tribes, and this a lot of like the Great Lakes region, kind of where we're at, basically, or where you're at. We're undisclosed. We don't release where we are.
There's definitely hints.
You're in a bunker somewhere.
Yeah. Because last season we said a location every time, and the government was getting hot on our tail. So now we just keep it very low.
You're in a van.
So the underwater panther, aka the Great Lynx. This is kind of off memory. My notes. If you saw them, you'd laugh. I don't. It just says nothing here. Okay, so this is the yin to the Thunderbird's yang. It's the much less known like other one of that. So it's seen as like the most powerful spirit of the underworld, as to where Thunderbird, and that also includes like water, but it also means like not Tartarus, but essentially that area of in different cultures it's called that and different things. But you say what you will. I like to link everything up like that. Basically, though,
you should put this picture up though when you're talking
about the Thunderbird.
That's the mighty Thunderbird. I will. Thank you. That's a beautiful picture. There's a lot of little tales about it. Basically, it looks like a panther, but it has like these iron-looking, almost feathery scales. It has horns. It can almost, some pictures, if you look it up, like the artist interpretations will make it more like a Loch Ness looking thing. Some of it, it's a weird water serpent or like a water creature. Kind of feline in shape though. But it guards all in the 15th and 16th century.
Like this underwater creature.
Yes, a little bit like that. Imagine it with whiskers. Whiskers.
Okay.
In the
so you can
there used to be there used to be all these copper deposits around the Great Lakes, which actually brought a lot of the early fucking people from Europe over here, and because they would basically they'd buy land or trade land with the Native Americans, and then they'd take all the copper off it, and they'd buy the land for like a pelt. It would be like not a good trade all the time, and they'd become millionaires back then, and just like decimate the land as it is. But so this is a creature that guards over copper, and there's one story where a group of people are out there fishing and they steal some, and basically it tips their whole boat over. There's another where a woman actually startles the creature and cuts its tail off, and when they bring the tail back to the village, the entire tail is made out of copper. It's just like a very now this is where my research goes off the rails, because this is where I go into every other culture. You can dig into the underwater. You can dig into the underwater panther all day, and I'm going to let you do that. There's a lot of the old depictions of it. It's side by side with the Thunderbird. It's an extremely striking figure that is kind of not as well known. Now copper. You know anything about copper in the ancient world?
The Thunderbird was.
What's that?
It's not incontinent like the Thunderbird. Because all birds are.
I don't know. Oh, is that true?
Yeah, they just kind of go. They have no control over it.
Oh, it's all connected. What is it? Is that called the cloaca?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Nice.
There it is.
I'm very proud.
All right. I don't know if the underwater panther has the cloaca. And honestly,
it probably.
I'll be willing to bet.
So first off, you can take this a couple different directions, because obviously you look at things as new as like the new Prey movie off the Predator line, where it shows these native people in like that 1700s, the Colorado area. They see like a quote unquote Thunderbird, and it's a flying ship. And and like a lot of ancient alien theories will tell you that. So in one hand, you can say, so what was the underwater panther to this Thunderbird if the Thunderbird was an alien ship? Like, what does that even mean? Really, that's just a thought experiment. Like, what would that even be? What kind of creature would that be? I posited that like maybe it would more be like of a Gaia essence, like that kind of goes on the woo side. That's like a different plane of existence, like an Earth energy coming up to fight against this other energy, basically. That goes into a couple different. I'll leave that there though. Basically, copper. So this is a thing that protects copper, or at least it doesn't like when you steal it. Copper in the ancient world can be used for a lot of things. It was used for like capturing spirits, though. It was you can make a copper box, and different spells will throw that spirit in there.
And you can
Different
make
cultures will try
electricity
to.
with it.
Yeah.
So okay, and that's what I mean. It's literally an insane thing. It all connects in a gross way, and even up to the newest Ghostbusters movie. Don't recommend. I don't care. I don't remember any of it, but there was one scene where there was some kind of object in a fully copper lined room, like just to say how that information that came from the Sumerians, literally 5,000 years ago, somehow was represented in media 2 months ago. Pretty much on the same line. It was still about ghost hunting back then. Like, it's pretty insane how that knowledge transferred almost directly to now. I do a lot of that thinking too. I know last week we were talking about how do you leave a mark for 10,000 years in the future.
Oh yeah.
This is going on a tangent. This is a lot of what I think about though. So that was I saw that and I'm like, well, that's kind of one way. But it's so copper around the world. So now here's a couple fun pictures.
Well,
I'm gonna
I
try
know
to,
a quick thing about
please.
copper is like a gardening thing.
Oh yeah.
It's like if you do the copper like wire around like a stick or something, and then put it a few inches in the ground, and supposedly it like charges the earth, and it like helps plants grow like much larger, way more like fruit. So that's like something I've heard. I want to try it this year personally, but that's just like what I thought of. Like copper is like
you'll find
it takes you like electricity just from the air, the energy from the air, and it like
there are
charges positively charges everything.
There are studies on that. I love gardening. There are studies on that, and like they can't prove that it doesn't help. They can't, They can't debunk it.
It seems mysterious. Okay, because copper. Now you take that back to these ancient Taoist monks in like ancient China. They would actually string together little Chinese coins. They were made of copper. They would string together. They did into swords. Into these. I can send a picture here. I can try to. And I might cut this second out while I try to get it there.
Yeah. You have it each?
Cool
just
sword.
to like. No, this is actually like from the time too. It looks like
it's just
a video game sword. Like it looks like a fake sword. Let me pull this thing. Where the hell did I go? Oh, we're down here. All right, I'm gonna send it to the chat, just so you can see a little picture. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm bad at this. Imagine a sword made of coins.
All right. I have a really good memory. I have a really good visual.
No, yes, with all your tendencies.
Like it's literally like coins that look like they're welded together.
Actually,
my visual image of it looks like my drawings.
Oh, is it like that?
I just sent it through the chat.
Okay.
There's a lot of different pictures of it, of what they look like. So these are ceremonial. You obviously can't go fight anything except for demons, because these are basically demon hunting swords. They are. Now, these specific swords, and a lot like them, they were listed, but the way they were made, they were laid out in specific ways. There was exactly 108 coins in this layout. Are you seeing pictures of this?
I am. I'm looking right at it.
There's more online. If you look up I can give you the term to look up if you want to see more. If you look up coin swords, and then right here, powerful Taoist demon fighters. They're these copper coin swords that are made to, basically expunge demons. Just as far as like linking copper back into everything. I think it's just it's very interesting.
So I guess. What are demons? What are ghosts? Is it like plasma? Is that how you like reach it? Is with like something that is going to conduct that like electricity?
Yeah, I guess it ties back into that electric sense then. And I guess a little more. I guess this is where again my mind goes insane. That the 108 number, that's not a random number. The 108 coins there. Across many cultures, that's a thing. Now, this is a little list. This might get... Okay, the number 108 is a sacred number, signifies the universe as a whole. It's actually the if you break down the Fibonacci sequence, each of them equal, like, it's... I don't know what the math is there. There's like 108 parts to each segment, whatever that means. It's basically like the perfect number as far as like rounding things is. 108 is also, in astrology, it signifies the relationship between the sun and the earth and the moon. It's let's see here. The distance between the sun and the earth is 108 times the diameter of the length of the sun. Right? Meanwhile, the distance of the earth to the moon is 108 times the moon's diameter. Does that mean anything? Not necessarily. I'm just telling you a bunch of numbers that all link up in this really bizarre way. All right? Besides that, like the way that I don't really dig into like sacred numbers or like numerology very much, but it was interesting. I did see a random number on a demon fighting weapon, and I see the number comes up in every other ancient culture, basically as like a holy thing.
There's definitely
any thoughts on that?
There's well, with like cultural crossover, absolutely. I mean, we are huge believers that there was not well, we definitely believe in intelligent civilization prior to written history.
Yeah.
You're talking like pre-ice age,
old world stuff.
Yeah, like old.
Like that.
Atlantis, yes or no?
Atlantis.
Oh yeah, they found that. Like
Lumeria, yes or no?
Yeah. No. Like I mean, like even previous to that, like
New Brazil,
previous to the great documented flood that everybody talks about, previous to global,
Do you think that was that still a human society or was that something else?
I think it was a human society.
I think it was a little bit of both.
Or maybe it was maybe it was a little bit more mixed.
Yeah.
I mean that if you believe the accounts, then definitely there was a lot of non-human stuff going on.
Well, because I mean, not that like it's any of it's all true or anything, but like, I mean, maybe it's like what we were like before all that, like, and we like kind of changed into whatever we are now, like, because you hear stories of like Nephilim and like the Sumerians and like, I don't know, you get into that stuff and it's like it's almost like there's like this like, I don't know, like a interbreeding kind of a thing. That's like with the Greek gods too. It's like they like had kids with like humans as well. And then like in like the Bible and stuff, like
Zeus banging everybody.
Yeah, well, like Noah in the Bible was like 800 years old or something. Like there's like these old kings that lived like 1,000 years, and it's like maybe they were like
the first fucking dragon king in China was like fucking 20,000 years
I think
old.
of it similar to like Lord of the Rings, like there's like the Numenor and stuff, like they have this like crazy long life compared to like regular men, but they're still like men in a certain way. They're like a little bit, I don't know, it's something like that where I'm like maybe that's
that Lord of the Rings.
There's a lot of North and South American indigenous stories regarding a lot of things like that. And
I don't know.
I mean, there were 200,000 cities in the United States before the Europeans entered, and I mean, like that was those cultures were here for thousands of years.
Like there's like ancient ruins.
Well, that's what we're saying. Like in a place like the Driftless area, like the Ice Age didn't even come and sweep stuff through. Like that is just such an old location. So yeah, when you talk about seeing like weird fucking shit out there, it's like that's the place. In America, that's like the oldest untouched place in like America. Like you can go over to Europe and there's that as well. That
there's a lot of similarities.
But there's similarities between Appalachia and Driftless. Really,
because it is. You go over to Europe and there's these 1,000-year-old cities and there's a certain type of paranormal there. But it's like when you get these untouched areas that are that old, they're
like that were like found by like settlers or like what is this? What's going on?
Yeah.
I'm inclined to believe that pre-Ice Age there was a group of floating heads living there, and you got haunted. And you got haunted by one. I
believe it. I mean, I'm here to believe anything.
Truly,
I'm here to take anything as a possibility.
And maybe that floating head called me a piece of shit because I'm a colonizer, and I'm
it's right.
It was like you're one of them.
Jelly. Could have been that.
Well, awesome. I mean, as you see, like the back half of this thing is just me going on a tangent. Thanks for going along with that. I hope you appreciated some of that and you can think about that. And if not, that's fine.
No, it was so fun. Thank you.
I'm gonna start closing it out. We actually dinged on that hour mark, basically. Not that it matters, but we're here with it, so I'm gonna close it out. And just because if you got more stories, you can always come back. You can always be able. We're
anytime.
Back again.
Fun.
Whenever.
And we didn't even really. I mean, you just mentioned the word Nephilim. We didn't even.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the problem.
At the end, like
we say something and it goes too fast. I start
speaking.
Especially the earlier episodes, you listen to it. It's like I'm a lightning bolt. Like nothing is stopping this thing. So
especially when it's like the first time you're on and like we like met and talk. It's like we're kind of feeling out where we're at, and now we're like come back and just be like we're diving in.
We could pick a topic next.
But also, I just wanted to say that song that you said you liked that had Tartarus in it or whatever. That was my song I wrote about the Anunnaki.
Yeah,
I wrote about the Sumerians, and then George Bush trying to rebuild the Tower of Babylon, which I thought was.
And I have a Nephilim song called "Of Enoch and Hard Knocks,"
which is a really good song.
I like that.
Yeah, please,
Like dramatic retelling of the Book of Enoch.
I love that.
one song.
I love that. That sounds fucking awesome. I'll give it a listen. Feel free to go ahead and plug anything now. David and Priscilla, it was a pleasure having you here.
Just, listen to our band.
Maudlin.
Find us at maudlin.me. So it's maudlin.me. And we are not the sludge metal band from Denmark.
No, it's not Denmark.
Belgium. Belgium, buckos.
Our trademark
the name
doesn't
first.
Europe.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's been a rough go of things. But
don't check those guys out.
Don't check those.
The coloring book is on Instagram at Bramelton. BRAMELTON.
I can put links to all this in the description of the episode too.
I still don't remember it.
Links below.
Yeah, I'll throw all the socials.
Links in the thing. Let's go find the links.
Go find the links. Thank you. I loved hearing your stories. Truly, you made me cry a little bit.
Fascinating.
I love that.
I've never heard anything like that.
Honestly, I'm glad you're not here. Like, this room smells. I'm sweating so bad just from what you told. Like, I just got so shaky. So I'm like,
yay! That means it was good. Right?
Okay.
It always catches me when someone has like a story. When I like hear a story that I've never heard before, that's like that creepy and like disturbing.
So I said you can't find that online, except for I guess you posted it once.
No, that's
for us. For everybody listening, take a look around the Red Temple. That's our Etsy shop, Pumpkinhillradio at Etsy. No, pumpkinhillradio.etsy.com. Just for some fun stuff there. You can use the code SECRET for 25% off, $25 or more. You can join the Cult of the Star Mother. That's our cult. David and Priscilla are honorary members for joining. Yeah. Everybody else, go to our Patreon page to join in. Throw a penny in the well. Nothing there yet, really. We're getting started.
We're working.
And then Dawson, you'll have to read this one.
What we got?
It's our W.
Oh, W. Yeah. Okay. Special code Star Mother at checkout, 10% off. W. It's good. Like kind of like a pre-workout for gamers almost.
It gets you wired to sit down.
Gets you wired, not jittery.
That's w.gg.
Yeah, w.gg.
Whatever. Throw it in there. Good and then email us at pumpkinhillradio@gmail.com. 5 stars for ratings. Any less, throw it in an email and we can dispute it there. We can fight it out. 5 stars only. Thanks again, David and Priscilla.
All right,
Maudlin and Bramelton fame. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks meeting you.
Yes.
Nice meeting you guys.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, and now I'm going to stop the recording. So.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
I have a picture of my floating head. Can I send it to you? I drew it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Please. Well, we can post it wherever we want.
We could just put it as like that could just be like the thumbnail or something.
Yeah.